What is going on, folks? So I'm going to review another Jeffree Star project, and this is basically his canceled album Concealer, but there was a bootleg album of this that actually came out. So that's kind of the situation. It came out somewhere in 2017, and basically some backdrop about this project. Jeffree Star dropped an album called Beauty Killer. Jeffree Star dropped an album called Beauty Killer in 2009, and then he signed to Akon's Con Live music label in 2012, 2011, 2013. Eventually, he quit music in 2013, apart from dropping like a couple spare singles. But 2012, late 2011, 2013, he was going to drop his second album called Concealer. And basically, Jeffree Star has a lot of music that's kind of floating around and stuff. Basically, Jeffree Star has a lot of music that's kind of floating around and stuff, so I do think it probably could be packaged into several albums, including like a particular hit song on here called the Boom Boom Pow remix, which is off of Boom Boom Pow is off of Black Eyed Peas' 2009 album that had Boom Boom Pow on there. It's just that kind of stuff. There's some real good gems in that sort of mixture, and I just kind of feel like the last kind of taste of Jeffree Star, at least in like the closest thing to an official sense. Now, I think you probably, if you absolutely look hard enough, you can find this Concealer album. There's 11 songs on the 2017 edition that I'm reviewing. And if you want to see the track list for it, just go to Rate Your Music, where it talks about this album Concealer. You have to look for Jeffree Star and then find the Concealer bootleg album. But I definitely look after it. I wanted to review this just because as much as I thoroughly enjoy Jeffree Star's music, I kind of feel like he only had so much, and most of it as a whole is pretty hard to find and get a hold of. It's just kind of like Cupcakes Taste Like Violence is kind of a larger dollar price to pay for that. Beauty Killer is kind of expensive. Mixtapes like The Shit You Weren't Supposed to Hear are hard to find. Some of these, like the Virginity EP, didn't even come out. So there's just a number of ones that kind of just kind of have, like, the main mantra about Jeffree Star's music is it's very kind of austere and kind of like esoteric and that type of stuff, just not typically readily available, even at places like Hot Topic and stuff where he was originally found back in the day. And this is kind of the concept. So I definitely wanted to review this project. I would like quite a bit for this project to see an official release. It doesn't seem likely that it would happen, but it still is worthwhile to pick up if you can actually find the Concealer album. I mean, there's a number of ones. There's one I just saw on Etsy that kind of combined like a bunch of songs from like Diva, the EP, and some of those Virginity and some of those type ones. But I just kind of feel like, I mean, there's just a bunch of stuff that kind of happens. There's just stuff that needs to be manufactured about Jeffree Star because he has so many gem kind of songs floating around that it's just worthwhile to kind of have some of that mixture. But at least Concealer from 2017, I mean, I guess the fact of the matter was Jeffree Star did do a little bit of music in 2013 and 2014, so it has some of those songs in there as well. So it's just kind of the concept. It doesn't have Jeffree Star's official stamp of Concealer doesn't have Jeffree Star's official stamp of approval, but I do feel like there's enough gems on here, even though some of these songs on Concealer are kind of gems from the Shit You Weren't Supposed to Hear mixtape. I do kind of feel like it's still enough of a worthwhile project just to kind of find some of these extra kind of spare Jeffree Star songs, because a lot of these, some of these do actually try some new tricks, and there's just some good moments that prove that he's pretty much a champion of like dance club rave and kind of that sort of nightlife kind of music in a lot of ways. It's just I don't hear an overabundance of music in this direction like I did from these projects by Jeffree Star. So this is kind of the concept. But so I'm gonna go ahead and recommend the 10 songs out of 11 I recommend. Yeah, the only song out of 11 that I'm looking over here because I have to use both computers for this. The only song I don't recommend out of the 11 songs on Concealer is just I Dare You, which was another song that was kind of a plotting song from the Shit You Weren't Supposed to Hear mixtape. So that's the only one. And this is kind of more of a rock kind of bass song. It just kind of is out of Jeffree Star's normal context, but I didn't really like the vibe of that one. But to talk about some of these, like, I feel like every song damn near from like, or several songs from like the Shit You Weren't Supposed to Hear mixtape are on here. Like If It Kills Me, In My Pocket, I Dare You, Oh My God, Misbehavin', Your Heart Is My Pinata. I mean, there's enough of these that are kind of on here. I'll just go over these. I mean, I have to remember these off of memory. I have to kind of remember these songs off of memory just because I have to use two computers to kind of do this. But like, If It Kills Me is kind of like a dark EDM. If It Kills Me is kind of like a dark EDM type synth cut, and this is definitely one where Jeffree Star was getting into EDM music more, but it was just kind of in a darker sense. I like that. And If It Kills Me, In My Pocket was kind of a vanilla nightclub kind of song, just kind of entry level, just something you'd listen to right as you're getting there in the first few moments and several moments of mingling and that type stuff. I feel like Oh My God is a crunchy rave type cut and is definitely dance ready. Misbehaving's kind of a vanilla dance club cut. This is just in a kind of stock and factory kind of dance club type song. Definitely like the concept of that. I'm just gonna knock out the ones that were on the shit you weren't supposed to hear, so we can get to some of this new stuff. I feel like Prisoner is a cut. Like Prisoner is on this album too, and Prisoner is basically a hit from Beauty Killer, so you should know that song. That's just a real quick. Prisoner is just a real quick dance cut. Just kind of has that nice kind of pulsating kind of energy. Just a real nice ass shaking kind of song that works in that sense. And Your Heart Is My Pinata is basically like a trance kind of song, definitely a soft core kind of club type song, probably one of the ending songs of the night, just something more for a trance type club and that sort of thing. There's 7 songs out of 11 that have been on previous projects of Jeffree Star. So the new songs would be Boom Boom Pow, Take a Bite, We Good, and I Fell in Love for the First Time. So to talk about these, like Boom Boom Pow is of course like a remix to Black Eyed Peas Boom Boom Pow song from their 2009 album. I want to say that this song hit #1. Def- Definitely reminds me of something that like LMFAO did back in 2009 and 2011 and stuff. That has that kind of shots at the bar, kind of crazy nightclub, uh, night venue EDM kind of feel towards it. But it just is perfect Friday Saturday kind of song. Just if you want to be taken back to 2009 2010, it just kind of has that real rave kind of energy. Just that should give you real feelings of like LMFAO and Kesha and some folks like that and that sort of thing. But Jeffree Star delivers a pretty raunchy verse and he goes in on it. Definitely works as like a solid remix. I like the concept of that. And Take a Bite is another stock. Take a Bite is like a stock kind of ready to go, typical kind of dance club song from Jeffree Star. It's just like the normal stuff that he does, like off Beauty Killer and some of his mixtapes. Just works extremely well. It's just another type song in that sort of valve. If you like the typical stuff from Jeffree Star, like Prisoner and Beauty Killer and some of those type ones that are just more rave induced and high dance club energy induced, you'll definitely like Take a Bite. We Good is where he tries some new stuff. This is definitely one that's not a dance club song, but I do like the energy of it. It's not quite a club song, but it just feels like something like you're getting ready to go to the club. Definitely reminds me of like a song that you'd listen to upon waking up. But the difference is with this song, We Good, it's not a song that I would say you would listen to at like 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock in the morning if you're getting ready to go to work. This is more for folks who are waking up at like 4:45 p.m., 5:30 p.m., 6:30 p.m. And then the first thing you're going to do is get fresh and then go out to a dance club and that type of stuff and fuck around and get drunk and late and that type of stuff. It just kind of works in that sort of energy. Definitely a nice kind of get hype song. It kind of will give you butterflies as far as like it should give you butterflies as far as wanting to kind of get started with your night and kind of have a great time and that sort of thing. So I just would have to say it's a great get ready and get hype kind of song. I Fell in Love for the First Time is kind of another different type song from Jeffree Star. This is one that feels very workaday and blue collar. Definitely kind of a commercial song from Jeffree Star. This is the sort of stuff I think if he would have went commercial that the labels probably would have had him do. This is kind of an in the car, just kind of got off work, weekday kind of song. This Tuesday, Wednesday, Monday kind of feels towards it. Not quite the weekend. This early week, midweek, that type stuff. Just something you'd listen to just in the car commute and just the day commute and that type of stuff. But Jeffree Star kind of gives it like an electronic kind of bounce that just makes it extra interesting. So this would be interesting kind of see what Jeffree Star would have done with blue collar music if he would have broken out of his alternative fold. But that is a nice one. I like the concept behind it. So that's basically the stuff as far as that kind of goes, as far as talking about the new kind of content on here, the 4 new songs in addition to the songs. I feel like most of these songs from the Shit You Weren't Supposed to Hear mixtape continue to be highlights. I mean, I don't see the extreme degree. I wouldn't pay 45, 55 bucks for like this Concealer album if you find it bootleg, just because over half the project you can find on Jeffree Star's mixtapes and albums. So you can get one of these songs from Beauty Killer and 6 of these songs from the Shit You Weren't Supposed to Hear. So if you can find the Shit You Weren't Supposed to Hear and it's just easy to kind of get and you can get it for free, doesn't really make like a huge amount of sense to pay the exorbitant money to get it. I mean, if you're a stock fan of Jeffree Star, that's one thing. I definitely would have to say it is worth it, because I'm going to go ahead and say that this album is going to get a 10 out of 10. Me only not liking one song. I mean, I would have liked it. It really just kind of whets my appetite for wondering what the Jeffree Star album Concealer would have been. It's just overall too bad that he had kind of a bad time in the later years in the music industry, because I definitely think the stuff that he was doing, like some of these tastes of what I got on here, like this dark EDM type stuff that would have really probably helped transform EDM music even further. Seeing Jeffree Star mesh extremely well with blue collar music and commercial music and workaday music had he gotten into that. And then even like some other clever type songs like Wake Up and Get Ready to Party type songs where you're not quite at the club but getting ready to be. So there were some good context in here that kind of did that. And even Your Heart Is My Pinata that kind of had like a trance and softcore. I would have liked to seen what Jeffree Star could have done more with trance music. So that's just kind of the thing. 10 out of 10. Some definite clever stuff on here. In terms of the social score, I'll go ahead and give it a 10 also, just because Jeffree Star is just like a complete party animal, and that should be proven by this point, all these projects that he's done. Yeah, I would definitely like for some more of these projects to kind of be amalgamated and manufactured. It's just because the word manufactured to Jeffree Star is like such a minimal term, just because most of his music, like I would really like to still purchase Plastic Surgery Slumber Party, the CD, but I just can't find it anywhere. And there's just some of these that I would like to own and some of that, but he's just kind of a difficult item to get a hold of, and the stuff that is available, because it's just not manufactured a bunch, is just expensive, or at least more pricey than what you may want. But it is worth it, but it's just kind of, paying 40 bucks for 6 songs like with the Cupcakes Taste Like Violence EP. It's just kind of like, well, you have to be committed to it. But so in terms of the future, that should about take care of it for Jeffree Star's music. I just would have to say he's got some good stuff, and you should definitely check out all of these reviews I've done about him. He definitely has some catalog music, and definitely guaranteed to have like a wicked time of the weekend at raves, trance places, dance clubs, runways, and just overall stuff like that.